I wanted to talk a little bit about what this group is all about as we're kind of slow rolling into our live here. So this is a pop-up temporary group. So if you're watching this on Facebook, you're in the group. If you are watching this on Zoom, you still get to participate in the live. With this group, last year what we did is we discussed the characteristics of a Lenormand Pro, and we talked about how to cultivate that and how to begin to cultivate that in your life. And this year, what I wanted to go do is do a layer deeper than that. I wanted to talk about, okay, here's those things, but also like, why are we doing that? Like, because we put a lot of work into Lenormand, and I wanted to share some of the amazing things that are kind of the next level and kind of what you're actually doing when you're learning these Lenormand skills. It goes so far beyond just being able to read cards or being able to interpret them. And so I wanted to do that layer deeper this round. But we're also going to talk, because many of you know me, if you've been in any of my classes before, I like to go really real world and how you can incorporate this into your life right now and get results right now that help to build up bigger skills later on. So that's really what this group is all about. And it's just fun. I really like interacting with you guys, and I like shorter groups because I really feel like I can dedicate a lot of time and I can really get in there and be in here with you guys for that length of time. So that's what this pop-up group is all about. I also want to thank you guys that did answer that questionnaire if you joined the Facebook group, because a lot of your questions that you, or a lot of the questions that you had about Lenormand, we're going to address. So that really helps me kind of steer this ship in terms of, okay, where are we going? What direction are we heading? What questions are we going to answer? So the lives that are going to follow are going to answer a lot of those questions. And a lot of the times it's just like a simple tweak of how we think about the cards that can answer a lot of them. So I love getting in there and doing those. So we're going to answer a ton of your questions throughout. Also, many of you here, I see a lot of Lenormand Foundations folks, welcome. We are going to reopen the doors to Lenormand Foundations at the end of this month. So if you're wanting assistance and guidance, if you're wanting a community, if you're wanting all of those things to practice your Lenormand skills, that opportunity will become available at the end of this month through Lenormand Foundation. So excited to welcome more folks in. And I always love seeing Lenormand Foundation's folks here. We're just Lenormand lovers. So we have to do things Lenormand all the time. Okay, awesome. So that is a little bit of what we're here to do in this pop-up group. And the way that the group also works, if you're on Facebook, I'm going to be posting challenges there. So you're welcome to, after the lives, participate. Don't worry if you're not on Facebook, I'm going to send them via email as well. So you can still do the challenges and still be a part of things. And that's going to be a big part of it, is the practicing. With Lenormand, it can get a little academic sometimes. We can kind of get in our own heads about it. And I'm all about getting out there, pulling cards out and seeing what happens in your day. And so we're going to have opportunities to do that throughout the group, different challenges, and I'm excited to see what you guys come up with throughout the group. So without further ado, what we're here to do in today's live is to predict the next month ahead. And I just really like to do a little fun card pull with you all to get things started. I think we kind of all get into the same energy through cards, and it's just always fun to see what's coming up next. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera so we can get started with our card pull. Now, one thing I do want to say is that this is a practice session. So I'm going to have you pick your own cards. It's kind of a modified version of that choose your own adventure. If you guys follow me on Instagram or anywhere, you see that, I'm sure, the choose your own adventure. So that is what we are going to do today with a little twist to it. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera so you can see the cards that I pulled. Okay. There we go. You guys can see it there. Perfect. And I know that Facebook has a little bit of a delay here, so it'll pop up in a second. Okay. So what I want you to do first is to select only one of these 3 cards. So if you are attracted to one, excuse me, you see that your eye kind of continues to return to one of those cards, that's the one you want to pick. And I just put some items on here so you could see them a little bit better. So we have the malachite pile here, amethyst, and then the gold circle. So just take a second and select the card that's calling most to you. And if you, in the chat, feel free to just put in there which one you are selecting. It's really cool sometimes to see the collective energy. Sometimes it's overwhelming one, and sometimes it's a total mix. So I love seeing that. Once you have one of those, then we're going to go ahead and reveal what these are at the start, okay? So if you chose malachite, then this card is going to represent the area of your life that's coming into focus over the next month. So this is, the way I designed this is not from like beginning of May to the beginning of April, or beginning of April to the beginning of May. I designed this just for the next month ahead. Okay. So the area coming into your life, we have the snake card. So I know there's a lot of, when the snake card comes up, people worry, oh no, what is this? But the snake, we're only in a month context. And the way that I use these cards up here, these tend to represent the area of your life that's coming into focus. So I tend to use the Lenormand house meanings. Now, you don't have to know all of what that is right now. I know we have a lot of experienced diviners here who know what I'm talking about. We have some new folks. But what this basically means is I take on the house meaning, which for the snake is just like complications or problems that you may experience over the next month. So that's the area that's just kind of coming into focus. And whenever the snake shows up, this is, I actually like seeing this come up for my monthly card spreads, because it's giving me an opportunity to see a problem before it happens a lot of times, or something that might get louder. So whenever I see the snake, this is my code for pay attention, see what's coming up here, because you may be able to actually obviate the issue totally. Okay, and then if you chose the amethyst pile, this seemed to be the most popular. We have the lilies. So this is very different energy from the snake, as we can tell. And so with the lilies, the way I interpret this for the house meaning is I say acknowledge and chill. So this is something that the cards want you to recognize is happening, but you don't actually have to do anything with it. It's just like, wow, take a look at what you've done or what's happening. Because I tend to see the lilies in the house position as like maturity, as something that you're growing into almost, like kind of like leveling up a little bit in life is a way to think about it. So you don't actually have to do anything because this is already happening. Some people also see this in the house position as like resting, or just like peace, something that is feeling really good to you right now. So you can also look at it in that way. But I think you're kind of lucky a lot of times if you're getting this one, because you don't have to do a lot. You just get to hang out and acknowledge what's going on. Last but not least, if you chose the gold circle, the area of your life that's coming into focus is the ring. So this is commitments and relationships. Pretty straightforward with the ring card with what that means. And why I like doing things in this way with having kind of an anchor card, if you will, because it gives you something that the other cards are going to kind of fold around. So you can have an understanding of, okay, this is the area of my life that's coming into focus. And then you have a little bit more context as to what your 3-card draw will mean. And that's what we're going to look at here in a moment. Okay, so those are the 3 areas. So if you chose Malachite, you got the snake. So the area of your life that's coming into focus this month are problems or complications. This is good though, because you might be able to obviate them. The next one we have here is the lilies. And this is just acknowledge and chill. Just notice the things that the lilies points out. These are things that you have called into your life in some way. And then we have the ring card, which is about your relationships and commitment. So that's just the area of your life that's coming into focus. And then we're going to go ahead and choose below that 3 cards. And let me organize this so it doesn't look so messy. I messed it up as I was talking about our cards above there. Okay. So what I want you to do now is to select 3 cards in any order that you're attracted to. So you can just think of it as 1 through 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I was just going to do 8, but this one just wanted to come out, so I couldn't help myself there. So go ahead and pick 1 card or 3 cards that are that you're attracted to, and they can be in any order. So for example, you could do like 2, 1, 9. It doesn't matter. And feel free to put those in the comments with which ones you guys are picking. That's so funny. It looks like 9s in almost all of them. It wanted to come out so bad, so that does not surprise me at all that a lot of you guys are picking 9. I was like, oh, this is done. And the card said, nope, you have 1 more. I'm going to go ahead and turn them over now, since it seems people have them here. So the first card we have is the anchor. The second card we have is the fox. The third card we have is the birds. The fourth card we have is the clover. The fifth card we have here is the tree. Number 6 is the letters. 7 is the tower. 8 is the mice. And 9, the lucky 9 that it seems like everyone's picking here, is the moon. So the moon is the one that wanted to come to the reading. It invited itself to this party for sure. Okay, so interpreting these. This is exactly, if you're used to doing the choose your own adventure, that's exactly the way to interpret it. So the way I like to look at it is the middle card that you chose, so this the second card that you chose, that is kind of the main thing that we're talking about. And then the 2 outside cards, they modify the inside one. So I'm going to give you examples of what I'm talking about too. So if you're brand new, don't worry. That's why we're doing this live, is to answer your questions as we go. So feel free to pop those in, or if you just want to share your interpretation as we go too. So let's go ahead and look at some examples. So let's say you chose the snake as the area of your life that's coming into focus. And then let's say you chose maybe, I'm just picking here, clover, maybe like clover, birds, moon. Let's say you pick that as what's happening surrounding this problem. So the way I could look at this is, if we have like Clover Bird's moon, the birds is the main thing that we're talking about within this. So communication, right? So even if you do nothing else, you just look at your center card and you're like, okay, there's problems about communication, right? You're already getting a lot of like what's coming into focus. But then if we add the other cards surrounding that, you could have the clover and the moon surrounding it, just as an example. Then for the clover, I tend to see that as like quick in the moment type things. It tends to be like, because the clover is like serendipitous, you usually see that as good. But then with the moon, modifying that as well, I would say, oh, this is like emotional in the moment communication. That might be one way I would look at that. You could also see this as like romantic fling type communication. That's another way you could look at it, if that was your combo, just as an example. So that's one example if you chose the snake. An example if you chose the lilies. So this is, again, like maturing, acknowledge and chill is what I call it. So then if you chose, let's say, like, maybe you chose like tower, anchor, and tree or something. If you chose tower, anchor, tree, then, you know, I like to go to the center card first, and we have the anchor card. So I tend to see that this in a smaller context. Remember, we're only in a month-long context. I tend to see the anchor as like our habits, or like the things that hold us down day to day, like kind of our like rhythm of life, the things that kind of keep us grounded and centered. So that's a way to look at the anchor. It's not the only way. That's just what it tends to mean for me in this type of context. And then when I look at the cards around it, we have the tower, and then we also have the tree. So I could see this as like, maybe, you know, a few months ago, you started new daily habits or something. Like maybe, like, I know for me right now, I'm trying to walk more. I'm trying to like add more steps in every day or something. This could be like, hey, with the lilies, I see you, you're doing this new daily habit, and it's growing and you're solidifying it. The tower I kind of see as like formalizing something, especially like related to habits or something. So it could say, okay, I see you, you're growing these daily habits, and creating like firm structures that are going to withstand time. So instead of it being like a flimsy thing that we're just trying out, it becomes something sturdier and stronger. And I think, you know, if you chose the lilies, that's just saying, hey, acknowledge and chill that. Chill with that. And I'm just giving examples here just so you guys can get a sense of, you know, possible ways to read these. And then I guess the last example I'll give here, we have the ring here. And let's say you just pick, let's see, what do I want to pick for this? Maybe you pick like tower, letter, mice or something. Or where's mice? Down there, tower, letter, mice. So if you picked that, then I would say, okay, you're going to get some type of like formal communication, like some type of like letter, or you're going to get some type of like notice that might be a little bit worrying about like a commitment you have. So this could be, you know, maybe you've been waiting on a contract to come through work or something, like something that you've been working on there, something that's commitment based. I'm pointing at the ring card up there. And you get some type of communication that's a little bit worrying about it. So that could just be like one possible interpretation of it. But what I want to say, whatever you drew, is that I put the intention into these cards to only show information that was helpful and actionable to you. So if you're being shown this, and even if you got the mice, you get the snake, you get something in there, it's calling your attention to something that you may be able to impact ahead of time, which is so amazing about Lenormand, is that you can really begin to see things in that way. So I would love to know what you guys came up with. Feel free to share what you drew and what your possible interpretation is. If you want help with an interpretation, let me know. That's why we're here live. We can also crowdsource, because and that's one of the things I really want to kind of talk a lot about in this pop-up group, is that this is very much based, Lenormand, all divination is very much based on your relationship with the cards. And although there are kind of base meanings or a range of meanings that each card may hold, you know, the way that that card talks to you is going to be different than the way the cards talk to me. And so that's why I love having a group environment, because someone might say, hey, you know, the tower, you know, or, you know, the tree, have you thought about that meaning journeying or spirituality, or have you thought about it in that way? And so you get a lot of people's relationships and seeing what works for them. And I think that's so helpful when you are learning. Okay, cool. So I'd love to know what you guys got and what your possible interpretations are. I know that might take a little bit, so we're just gonna hang out for a moment. But I do, as we're doing that, I could talk about this spread. So this spread that I'm using, I usually do just a week ahead spread, which I teach more in depth in Lenormand Foundations. But one of the things I like about it is you have an anchor point card. So you know, like, this is the main area, because I know if you're just pulling 3 cards, sometimes it's like, okay, what is this really talking about? What are we really getting at here? But I like having one of these kind of, I call them anchor points, not the anchor card, but an anchor point to know, like, what is this reading based around? So this is just something I created. And it's something I pull almost every week to see, like, what's coming up every week for me. And it's a very addicting card pull. And if you're in Lenormand Foundations, I know some of you use it all the time and tell me about it. So if you use it in Lenormand Foundations, you can talk about that too, with what kind of use you get out of it. But I really like this, especially for just seeing what's coming up in the week in a more detailed way. And then if I'm, you know, we're only doing one here just for time, but if I'm doing a month ahead, I might pull like three of these for myself to see, like, what's coming up, what areas of my life are coming up over the next month. With advice, I like to pull 3 tarot cards. So I went ahead and pulled those before we got on here. And what I think is interesting about these tarot cards is all of them are reversed. So I know we all have different ways of looking at reversals. So please honor the way that you look at them. I like to see reversals as, okay, a lot of times it's a reframe of thinking for me. Like, it's not necessarily the opposite of what the card means. It's like, oh, I want to look at this in a different way. It's time for me to think about this slightly differently. So here are the 3 cards that I chose. So go ahead and select one of the cards that is calling to you. Okay. So the first one we have here is Strength Reversed. And when it comes to Strength Reversed, this is a lot of times like, remember your power and who you are. Like, this is a lot of times when this comes up, it's usually when I'm like pushing myself in something, when it comes up for me. And it's saying, it's sometimes when we're doing something new or hard or different, a lot of times we can forget places that we've shined before. And so this is saying, remember what you've done before, remember your strength and what you're capable of. So I tend to see it that way. I also know we have a lot of tarot readers, so obviously your own interpretations are very valued here. Okay. Let's see here. And then what we have here is the 3 of Swords reversed for the second one. And when people see the 3 of Swords, a lot of times it's, kind of like the snake that's up there. But for 3 of Swords reversed, I tend to see this as like, what can I let go of? Like, how can I release these swords that are in my heart? Like, what am I holding on to that I can let go? And how can I choose to direct my mind somewhere else? So sometimes if like you find yourself returning to the same ideas over and over and over again, or you have like an old idea about what something could mean. So maybe you do have like maybe you have something coming up around like what we were talking a lot about, job interviews and things like that. And maybe you are replaying an experience in your head about like, oh, when I did that one job interview, I didn't do well. It's saying like, how can we release those, that past experience? How can we begin to release that? And anything that's kind of plaguing you or that you find like really stuck, like, how can I release it? And this is always my internal hint. If any of you guys know Rana George, she talks a lot about Ho'oponopono, which is that little prayer of just, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I have to say it fast because that's how I say it in my head. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. That's Three of Swords is my Ho'oponopono card, always. Whatever the situation is, I just Ho'oponopono it out, and it really helps. So you can also Google Ho'oponopono. It's hard to spell, but if you start, it's HPO, it'll come up. It's Hawaiian. So yes, this is my Ho'oponopono card. And then last but not least, we have the Ace of Pentacles. And the Ace of Pentacles is when I see this, I'm like, ooh, I'm being offered something that I'm not seeing a lot of times when it's reversed. And it's also kind of like not like try not to procrastinate type of card for me. It's like, hey, you have this opportunity, but it might it might expire or something. Like it might go away and find another person to take it on when I see the Ace of Pentacles reverse. So a lot of times I just try to see like, what am I not seeing? What opportunity am I not seeing? Or what am I not taking full advantage of in this moment? Those are some of the questions that come up there. So those are the advice cards that we pulled. And obviously bring your own tarot interpretations. Reversals are always a very fun topic in tarot. You'll get all different types of opinions there. Okay, you guys. So like I said, I will see you hopefully same time, same place tomorrow. We're going, this was just kind of like a fun card pull for the month ahead, just to get us like in the spirit of Lenormand, in the spirit of reading it. And then next time it's going to be a little bit more like workshop-y style. We're going to talk about some of your questions that you have. We're going to talk about the two main things that I think help like build a solid Lenormand foundation, or some like, they're more like my tips for it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. And we will talk again very soon. If you're in the Facebook group, feel free to comment. And we will reconvene tomorrow.